Hey guys, Shane again here with One Shift at a Time, and it is the Power Ranking Saturday night, second from the last. I can't believe the season is almost over. Come on, bring on the playoffs. This is getting awesome. We're going to start off in the East, as we always do, and it is going to be the Buffalo Sabres. They have reclaimed their place at the bottom of the East. Not sure that should be something they're proud of, but there they are. They've lost another 4 games in a row. The bump that they got from the trade deadline is long gone. I don't know why that happens sometimes, but after you make a big trade, sometimes you start playing well, and then in this case, it drops right off again. So something's going to need to change in Buffalo. I don't know if it's the locker room, if it's the coaches. Something's poisonous there, and it needs to change big time. Number 7, also quite surprising, is the Philadelphia Flyers. They just continue their amazing drop out of contention. Again, they were really in this in the beginning of the season, but another 3-game losing streak, and all 3 of those losses are to the Devils, which is really going to drop them below the Devils in the power rankings, that's for sure. The Flyers seem to have this habit of making the playoffs once and missing the playoffs the next year. I believe they've done this almost 8-9 years in a row, that they've gone yes, no, and they continue again this year. After they make the playoffs last year, they miss it this year. They are officially out. Number 6, also officially eliminated, are the New Jersey Devils. They're still trying to make an end to the season surge, even though they are, as I said, eliminated. But they are on a 3-game winning streak, and they are, this division is pretty much locked up. But they are showing signs of positivity, which of course is really good because they can help build on that next year. That's a much more positive situation than, as I said, in Buffalo or Philadelphia, where they really, I don't know that they have anything positive to look forward to next year. Number 5, the Rangers. Their push also seems to be falling a bit short. I know mathematically they're not technically eliminated because they've played 2 games more than Boston and trail by 8 points. But if Boston gets a single point, whether an overtime loss or a win in any way, they're going to clinch that last spot, and this division will be locked up. Number 4, the Bruins. They are still, what a turnaround. They are playing really amazing since the trade, and this trade has not slowed down at all. Both Lazar and Hall are just playing unbelievable. Especially Hall. He went from having 3 points in Buffalo all season to now he's almost a point a game player in Boston, which is just crazy turnaround. It's just crazy that they have only lost twice, once to the Sabres and the Pens, since the trade deadline, which is almost 2 weeks ago. Now we're into the top 3, which are all clinched teams, and that is going to start off with number 3, the Islanders. They could have maybe been number 2 because they are on a 2-game winning streak, but in their last 5 games they did lose 3 of the 5, and all 3 of those were to the Washington Capitals. So I did give the Washington Capitals the edge in the power rankings. But they did beat the Rangers twice, as we talked about, and that did deal what I think is the death blow to their crosstown rivals' playoff chances. Number 2 is going to be the Washington Capitals, and as I said, they get that due to their 3 wins over the Islanders, which was key. As the playoffs, if the playoffs started now, that is who they'd be playing. So it was quite a tune-up, and unfortunately for the Islanders, something needs to change before the playoff starts, or else they're going to find themselves on the outside looking in after the first round. Number 1, the rise to the top is complete. The Pittsburgh Penguins hit the number 1 spot. I believe it is the first time this season they've been there. But they've only lost 1 of their last 7 games, and they're heating up, heading into the playoffs. I thought they were a scary team when they were in 4th place. Now that they lead the East, oh man, they're almost petrified. I am petrified of them. That's what I'll say. Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you in the Central. All right, guys, we're off to the Central. Sorry about that first part of the video. I was using the green screen behind me, and the green patches were a little thing, so I switched to the blue screen. Should be good now. Starting off with the Central, number 8 is Columbus. They're getting quite comfortable in that last spot in this division, and I don't think things are going to change. Something huge is going to have to happen in this offseason. I think Torts and the players are not getting along. His style of play obviously is not working with that team, and I don't see how they can continue with him. Tortorella does seem to do this quite often. He goes to teams, and there's some immediate results when he gets there. They start to improve, but then over a while, after a year or 2, the team does seem to go down. So I'm not sure I would trust him as a coach for my team, that's for sure. Number 7, we do have the Blackhawks. Man, they have sure dropped. They were doing so good. I mean, at the midway point of this month, they were in fourth, fighting even for third place, and they were really showing some signs that they were not ready for the rebuild. Now they are looking like the team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season, unfortunately, and they have dropped precipitously off the cliff. Number 6 is Detroit. They are actually also officially eliminated from the playoffs, whereas the Blackhawks aren't. But they are playing better hockey, and again, like we said in the other division, there is at least some positives that Detroit can look forward to for next season. And they haven't given up playing yet. They're still playing really good games. Like tonight, they got the big win over Tampa, 1-0. So that's good to see. Number 5, we have the Dallas Stars, and they're on another 3-game losing streak. They were clawing their way back into the playoff position, but now their playoff chances are definitely in peril. They only have 1 game in hand on Nashville, and they're trailing them now by 3 points. So this may came down to the games which, luckily for Dallas, are against Chicago. Number 3, we do have the Number 4, we do have the Nashville Predators. I can't wait to see the Predators in the playoffs. I'm assuming they're going to make it, and I'm really hoping they have fans, because the energy in that building is amazing when it comes to playoff time, and I'd love to see that go again. And their last 2 games are against the Hurricanes, so it is going to be some tough sledding to make the playoffs. And we do have number 3, the Tampa Bay, and they're holding on to this 3rd spot. I believe this is the 3rd week in a row they've been here. They have 5 games remaining. 2 of them are against Florida, and 2 of them are against Dallas. So 1 against Detroit. This is really, they have a chance to leapfrog Florida and maybe even claw their way up to first against Carolina. Though, seeing who they're playing, I don't know that they will be able to do that. So let's see how that goes. And then in number 2 is going to be the Florida Panthers. Wow. As this season winds down, the Battle of Florida is looking more and more likely. And in fact, the final 2 games of the season are played between Florida and Tampa. So if they went for a 7-game series in the playoffs, they could legitimately play 9 straight games against each other, which is just crazy. And then in number 1, Carolina, the same thing. I don't know who made the schedule at the beginning of the year, but their last 2 games are against Nashville. And again, if the playoffs started today, they'd be first and Nashville would be fourth. They'd be playing themselves in the first round of the playoffs as well, and could potentially play 9 games in a row there as well. Just crazy. All right, guys, we'll see you in the West. Alright guys, and we are off to the West as usual, and the Sharks could continue to be the worst team in the West. Even though the Ducks are currently eliminated, and the Sharks technically could still make the playoffs, the way they're playing right now, I can't put the Sharks ahead. I mean, they did snap their long losing streak, but they're starting to lose again. I feel the Ducks are just playing better hockey, which is going to bring us to number 7, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. They played 2-2 hockey this week, so I mean, that sounds good. But granted, the 4 games they played this week were all against LA, so they went 2-2 against LA. Not sure what that says. I mean, it tells you they're better than LA, and they're maybe the best team in California, which is not going to say much. But number 6, we're staying in California, but now we're going to go to the most populous city of the state, Los Angeles, slightly ahead of Anaheim. Just because I think they're playing a little bit better, whereas Anaheim's just starting to come on. We'll see. I don't think there's going to be a lot of bragging rights to be the best of the worst in the West here. It's they're 9. As I said, they have a chance because they are 1 point behind San Jose with 2 games in hand. They'll probably pass them, but they're 9 points behind St. Louis for the last spot, and they've played the same amount of games. So basically, St. Louis would have to lose out, and LA would have to win out at this point. The top 4 in this division are pretty much locked. Number 5, the Arizona Coyotes, and as I said, I just don't think it's going to happen for the boys in the desert either. They've played 3 games more than St. Louis, and they trail them by 3. So again, it would have to be St. Louis losing out and them winning out, and I just don't see it happening. They do have one plus side though, that all their remaining games are against Los Angeles and San Jose, so maybe they could win out, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping. And then we're off to St. Louis, Missouri there with the St. Louis Blues, and they're not the final team to clinch a playoff spot technically, but as we've discussed, I think it's all but a waiting game now until they are officially clinched. And I think the scary thing, or the thing that is best for them, depends on how you look at it, is that they're probably going to have to play the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round. And that's either going to destroy you and you're out of the playoffs, or you're gonna play one of the best teams. I think they're the hottest team in the league right now, and if you can beat them, then hey, you've already beaten the biggest dragon and you're on your way. So number 3, we got the Minnesota Wild, and they're really pushing now. They may be this might be the weakest division overall, but the top 3 teams in this division are scary. Like, I wouldn't have thought Minnesota was going to keep up with Vegas and Colorado this late in the game, but they are. They're only 2 points behind Colorado, and they're a game ahead. So Colorado does get to play one extra game than them. But their last 6 games, they got 2 against St. Louis, 2 against Vegas, and 2 against the Ducks. So they still could do it. They could still do it. Number 2 is the Colorado Avalanche, and I think they hold a lot of their fate in their own hands, as we talked about. They could run the table and perhaps get first in the division, or if they don't play so well, they could, as we talked about, drop down to third and not have home ice advantage. So they do have 7 games remaining because of the COVID. They got a couple extra. 2 of them are against St. Louis, 1 against Vegas, and then they have 4 against the LA Kings. So I'm thinking it could be the former where they win out the division, but we'll see, because they got to beat number 1, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and I don't think there's a hotter team in hockey, as we talked about in the Power Rankings in the midweek NHL wide. I think they're going to do it. I wonder, with this playoff format and the regular season playoff, if we're going to see any real upsets, because these teams are playing these other teams that they're going to be playing in the playoffs all season long. So when you play 10 games against a team, or 9, I think it's the American teams with the 8 divisions, they play about 8 games per team. Is it really going to change when those 7 games are perhaps in a row, or maybe it's just 4 if the team gets swept? So it will be interesting to see. I think this division, Colorado and the Golden Knights, that could go either way. And in the North, I think Edmonton and Toronto, that's going to be a battle, and that's going to bring us to the North. All right, and here we are in the North, and finishing it off for week 14. I don't feel as bad this week. I felt a little bad last week because of their COVID situation and stuff like that. But the Vancouver Canucks are going to be number 7 in the West. They started off strong when they came back, but now another 4-game losing streak, and it seems like every week we're talking about a Vancouver Canucks losing streak. So they are now officially in last place in the division, if for points, even though they're technically not eliminated from the playoffs yet. They are clinging to a 0.9% chance of making the playoffs, but you're telling me there's a chance. So that's what Vancouver fans are going with, I guess. Number 6 officially eliminated, but ahead of the Canucks we do have the Ottawa Senators, because they're just playing some good hockey, and it is fun and refreshing to watch such a young team play so hard, get up for their goals. Like, they're still excited even though they're eliminated. They know they're eliminated. I think this team is going to be a contender, if not next year, in the near future. I think next year, honestly. Number 5, this team is all but clinched. They have a 99.9% chance of making the playoffs currently. But a 6-game losing streak has the Winnipeg Jets all the way down in number 5. And this has to be a little concerning for Jets fans and everyone in the Jets organization. I mean, a 6-game losing streak as you're coming down the stretch. They only have 6 games remaining. 2 of them are against Ottawa, 2 of them against Vancouver, and they have 1 each against Calgary and Toronto. These are must-win games, especially those 2 against Ottawa and Vancouver, and probably Calgary. I think those are all very winnable games for Ottawa. They've played good against those teams in the past, but they need this. They cannot continue to lose, even though they'll make the playoffs. Mentally, you can't go into the playoffs on these kind of losing streaks. Number 4, Calgary. Wow, their playoff chances took a massive hit tonight, both with Montreal's win and their loss to Edmonton. And it's unfortunate because the game was lost for Calgary in a span of about 4 minutes, I believe, where Connor McDavid scored, and then he set up Ethan Bear as well. And just like that, the game was basically over. Calgary fought back to get it to 2-1, and then in the final minutes, the Oilers added 2 empty netters to make it look a lot worse than it was, because they needed that game. They are technically still in it. They have a 7.9% chance of winning, but The Montreal's magic number is 2. If they win 2 more games, it is officially over. And if Calgary loses another one, they are out. So I don't have a lot of faith anymore. We'll see. Surprise me, boys. And then jumping all the way back up to number 3 because of positional play by Winnipeg, basically. And finally winning the games when it needs to is the Montreal Canadiens. So it is good to see them win when they, especially these last 2 games, which were both come from behind victories, which is, I think, the most important because it shows such resilience, and the ability to come back is always important, whether it be regular season or playoffs. It's very good for character development. They have a very tough end of the season though, so they have to, as I said, win 2 of their remaining games, which is 7 games. So 2 out of 7 doesn't seem so bad. They do have 1 more game against Ottawa, but the other 6, 3 of them are against Toronto and 3 of them are against Edmonton. That is why Calgary still is in there with a chance, and technically Vancouver. And number 2, sitting at 100% chance of making the playoffs, but according to the TSN website, not clinched. We have the Edmonton Oilers. I do not understand why they're not clinched. I did the math myself. There's no way that both, they're going to drop behind Winnipeg and Montreal. Never mind dropping behind Calgary or Vancouver somehow. Like I don't understand why it's not 100% on the website. It does help when you've got the best player in the world on your team. And this year, surprisingly, I think for most people, very surprisingly, they have the best tandem of goaltending in the league. So that makes this team just insanely scary going down the stretch and into the playoffs. If everyone can stay healthy, they are looking very good. Definitely very good. The only team that really I see them fighting for, especially in the North, is your number 1 team, and that is reclaiming their number 1 spot finally, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have come back with a vengeance. They're, I believe, on another 5-game winning streak. Winning minute matters. They're the only team that's like officially clinched in the North, as I said, for some strange reason, and they're running away with it. They are 9 points up on the Oilers. I don't see them relinquishing their top spot in the division at this point. And Austin Matthews, he's just a force. This guy wants to bury the puck, and he's doing it almost at will. He's got 38 goals now. The next closest is 29 by good old Connor McDavid. That's 24% more goals than Connor McDavid. That's something he's going to be able to brag for the rest of his life about. Almost as bad as Connor McDavid running away. I believe he's 16 points up in the points race. So just ridiculous. Once again, can't wait for the playoffs to start. I'm really glad you guys decided to join me and take time out of your day to click on this video. It makes a big deal to me. I'd also, if you could, click the like, click that subscribe, share this thing around. Anything you can do, as I say, it always helps me a lot, and I love you for it. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.